Hi everybody, how are we doing today? Finally, the Marvel Avengers Trophy Guide and Roadmap is here for y'all. This has been one of the most highly requested roadmaps that I've had on the entire channel ever. Without further ado, Marvel's Avengers Trophy Guide and Platinum Roadmap. Let's have a look at it. I did have a whole thing where I was going to say Avengers Assemble and throw a hammer, and it doesn't matter. Alright, this is the Trophy Guide and Roadmap for Marvel's Avengers. Now before we start, similar to what I said at the beginning of the Tony Hawk video, no one has owned the Platinum Trophy in this game yet, and it's because of a number of factors. A, it's a long game. Well, the game isn't long, the game's quite short. It's the additional content around the game to get the trophies that is quite time consuming and long. So that's the first factor. Secondly, there is a number of trophies that have glitched for people where people can't unlock them, but they have unlocked for other people. So there are a number of glitchy trophies in this game at the moment. So keep that in mind if you're going for the Platinum in this game, that currently as of, what are we now? September 10th, I think it's patch 1.06. There are a number of glitchy trophies, including one trophy which won't unlock for anybody for completing villain sectors called Tentative Peace. Now this trophy here is actually very straightforward, however it's completely glitched at the moment and you can't earn it, meaning the Platinum is unattainable as of right now. Now that will get fixed. Obviously you'll be able to earn the Platinum in this game as time goes on, and maybe you're watching this in 6 months time and you can earn the Platinum trophy, and this is kind of redundant. So let's go and have a look at the rest of the trophies and the rest of the content required for the Platinum trophy and figure out exactly what's required and how hard this is going to be. I'm sitting there somewhere in the middle. I feel like it's probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. I'm giving it a 6. There's a number of reasons, but the main thing is that the game gets easier as it goes on. Obviously, you continue to level up or power up your heroes. And as you do that and unlock more abilities and better equipment, the game does become considerably easier, and you can play it on the easiest difficulty for the most part, except for some of the end game content which you do need to play on harder difficulties. But you can have friends help you with that too. So for me, it's a 6 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. The major thing, and I guess where the difficulty comes in, is how time consuming this is. I'm estimating this at about 100 hours in terms of time. It could be done less, I assume, if you're like really strategic about it. And it's probably going to take people a lot longer than that as well. But given the quantity of these missions that you need to complete for the Platinum, I think this is a reasonable estimate. Now the actual game itself is pretty short. I think I finished the base game in about 15 or so hours. So it's not super long, but it's all the additional side quests, and we're going to call them side quests because there's a lot of stuff that fits into that category as like your kind of post-game, in-game content. Raids in any other game that are going to take you a really long time to complete. So online trophies, technically yes, because it is an online service level game, and because on the harder difficulty some of the Hive missions and things like that do become quite challenging, so you're going to need you're going to need people to help you out with. In terms of missable trophies, technically there's none. There is a debate around collectibles, but they can all be earned post-game even though you can't replay the missions in the game. Difficulty trophies, there is nothing difficulty wise for completing the game. You can do the entire game on your normal or easy difficulty. It's the post-game mission that you'll have to complete on higher tier difficulty levels for specific trophies, so that's worth keeping in mind as well. But for the base game, you can play it on easy or normal. Now the game itself is only going to require a single playthrough. The extra stuff, like I mentioned before, the additional post-game content that is going to take multiple playthroughs to earn the Platinum. There is chapter select, sort of, in terms of replaying particular missions, but campaign-specific missions do become locked. There isn't anything that should be locked behind those missions except for collectibles, which you can now supplement in post-game anyway, so that is kind of redundant. And the developers have also said they're looking at adding replayability for those earlier single-player based missions into the game as well. So they'll become replayable again at some point in the future, maybe now if you're watching this later. And in terms of trophy stacks, there's only one trophy list for this game, thankfully. Trophy breakdown-wise, there's 51 trophies in total. I've broken this down into a few categories. Your basic story-related content, that's 17 trophies. Actually, let's have a look at how many there are. There's 1 platinum, 2 golds, which is stingy on golds, 7 silvers, and 41 bronze. Very heavy on bronze trophies, this list. Just wanted to say that off the bat. So there's 17 that are associated with story-related content. That's all pretty straightforward stuff that they'll just unlock as you play the game. Don't worry about those. There's 4 associated with leveling up your character level, as well as the power level of your character. Now, they're 2 different things. your character level maxes out at, I think it's at level 50, whereas your power level, you can upgrade all the way up to 150. And they're two completely different things. They're different leveling systems altogether, and I know there's a bit of confusion around that, so I thought I'd clarify that now. There are 2 trophies associated with upgrades, 12 associated with miscellaneous objectives, defeating particular enemies in certain ways, things like that. 3 with equipping and unlocking particular gear or loot items, you maybe want to call it. 3 associated with collectibles and collecting things in the game. And then 9 associated with side quests. And side quests, as I've called them here, encompasses all of the additional side content in the game. That's your villain sectors, your Hive missions, your assignments, your war zones, all that sort of stuff. So I've just kind of dumped it all into one category just to simplify things. Now, in terms of steps to platinum, it's not a complicated roadmap at all. It's a simple roadmap. It's just time consuming. First step is basically just play the game. What I've said here is play through the main missions, aim to grab any collectibles that you see on the way. This will speed things up later, which it does, but don't worry if you miss things. They are obtainable later. Even though you can't replay these missions at this point, you can still earn collectibles from chests and from the Avengers initiative missions later in the game, post-game essentially. So don't worry about collectibles too much, but do try and get them because it makes things faster later. They're easier to find now in the single player campaign than they are later in the game because they're kind of randomized. Next step is to complete all the side content. So once you finish the game, it will unlock a bunch of new stuff for you to do, including Hive missions, which are basically your in-game raid based content. These aren't really playable or accessible until you get kind of at a decent level to be competitive in them, and it's all post-game stuff. So what you want to do in this part is you want to focus on leveling up your character to its max level, and you're going to be doing that probably for a few different characters. Then you want to be focusing on leveling up your power level on your character to 150, which is like, that's when you've maxed out your complete power level. You've maxed out your artifact, which you'll need to do for random trophy as well, and you've maxed out your armor on your character too. Now those are really important because the power level caps out at a particular point, and to get it up to 150 you need to level up your armor and your artifact, your big artifact or major artifact I think it's called, to max. Otherwise you won't be able to get your power level to 150. So that's worth mentioning. Now in this step here you'll be doing a combination of either like 20, 30 or 50 of these different types of missions, between Hive missions, which I've just mentioned as your post-game content, the villain sectors, which I believe there's only 8 of currently in the game. I think they'll probably add more. The trophy is for finishing 15, but you can continue to repeat the same one 15 times. But this trophy is currently glitched. Faction rank, this is just making sure your rank gets to level 25 with a particular faction, which you'll unlock as you play through the assignments and war zones and things like that associated to particular factions. Assignments are basically just missions, and then war zones are the larger scale missions. I think that's the easiest way to describe them, by keeping it kind of simple. So that's basically what you want to do here, and this step 2 is where the grind comes in. Step 1 is about 15 to 20 hours. Step 2 is where you get from that 20 to almost 100 hours, I would say, just grinding away and unlocking these missions. Because they take a decent amount of time each, like a war zone could take anywhere from half an hour to an hour to complete, and because you need to complete so many of them, that's just what pushes the time up on this. The last step is to knock off any remaining collectibles and misc trophies and things like that. Like I said in the first step, collectibles can be obtained post-game. They're just harder to come across and they're more randomized. It's worth mentioning because I know some people were frustrated with that, thinking that this is a trophy they just wouldn't be able to earn because collectibles become locked, and that's not the case. And like I said, they're looking at adding replayability back into the game in terms of single player as well, which I'm guessing will be added. Before we go on to the last step, actually we can go on to the last step now, we can talk about it there. Notable trophies, I've only got 3 here. The first is the level 150, the power level 150. I need to get into a better state of saying that with any hero. The reason I want to call this one out is because people are confused with the character level and the power level. They're 2 different things. I've already mentioned it, so I think it's clear, but they're 2 different things. If you're struggling with this on the Mountaintop trophy, you need to be focusing on the power level. Second is the Tentative Peace. This is for completing 15 villain sectors. Now this trophy here is currently glitched. It's not hard, it's not even that time consuming if I'm being really honest. It's just the fact that it's glitched right now, but it should be fixed in the hopefully not too distant future. And then the final trophy is Information Overload for collecting 50 intelligence files, and like we've already talked about, you can earn these post game as well, not just in the main game. Those are the ones that I think are notable in terms of being kind of weird. In terms of like the grindiness ones, you're looking at trophies associated with leveling up a mixture of your characters to 250, and I think the Warzone one is probably the only other one that's going to be super grindy, and the Hive content as well. Between those couple, I think they're the ones that are probably going to take you the most time in the game. But they're really self-explanatory. You just have to complete a particular type of mission 50 times. So, while it's time-consuming, it's really simple. Well, they're not easy missions, but simple in premise, if that kind of makes sense. But that's essentially all there is to it for this Trophy Garden roadmap. It's a weird one because there's a lot of grindy stuff. Like I said, there's at least 5 or 6 different types of side quests that you'll need to grind to unlock the trophies for those associated side quests. And because of that alone, it just becomes a little bit confusing. The game is big as well. Like, it's the main campaign is short, but the additional replayability is big and broad and long. And being a live service game, it is kind of hard to make a roadmap like this that is effective for everybody. This roadmap, as I have made it, is really only useful now because in a year's time, this game might look completely different. You know, they might add a new character in with a particular ability, which completely changes the game. They might release an update to the game, which makes, I don't know, particular quests harder or easier or whatever it may be. So it's worth just keeping that in mind if you're watching this way later on in the future. This is recorded in September 2020, and it's relevant information now, but it might not be as more time passes. So it's worth keeping in mind. If I do continue to play this game beyond this launch period, then maybe I'll look at making an updated version of this in a year's time, but I just don't know what this game is going to be like in a year's time, so that's why I wanted to kind of caveat that. The other thing I should mention as well is this game is obviously a live service game. I mean, I've just said that, but it's a live service game, so if you have any tips and tricks that are relevant, let people know in the comment section below. I think this is a game that as a community we can kind of share things about. And I'm sure there's stuff I've missed in this guide as well, which is incredibly helpful in getting the Platinum Trophy that some of you guys know. I find that the people in my comment section know so much about the games I'm talking about that the comment sections often become more helpful than these videos, but they're a good jumping off point at the very least. So that's all there really is to it. Let me know if you guys are going for these trophies. I'm guessing based on the number of comments I've had asking for this video that this is a game that a lot of you guys are trying to platinum at the moment, or you're trying to understand how hard the Platinum Trophy is. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you guys. Let me know down in the comment section below, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I would really appreciate the feedback. If you're a new viewer of the channel and you've just discovered this video because you're trying to platinum Marvel's Avengers, please consider hitting the subscribe button as well. I make new videos like this every single day on the channel, and if you hit subscribe, you don't miss out. So that's all there really is. Alright guys, well I am going to go and continue grinding away at this game. It is a long one. It is a long one for sure. I've been playing this game for almost 2 weeks now, and I am still grinding away at it. There's so much to do. Alright, I am out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.